Hello my friends, and welcome to Paulina Art. I have to varnish a few paintings this afternoon, and I thought it would be fun if I record this and talk to you about tips on how to handle commission work. I'm going to paint this acrylic painting. I'm going to varnish it with the technique that I always use. I'm going to attach a link below, and for this one I'm using the satin finish folk art paint because I want a little bit of a gloss to the painting. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about on handling commission work is to get the client to really get familiar with your work. Make sure you have a website that they can see your work, and if you don't have a website, you can invite them to see your art, because let's face it, you can only paint how you can paint. Sometimes a client might have really high expectations or expect something different as to what you do. So it's very important that the client is very familiar with your style and the kind of work you do. The second thing is for you as an artist to be very humble and honest with your expectations and know your limitations as what you can do and what you cannot do. The third thing you're going to have to do is to calculate a price for your painting. You're going to have to do an estimate. However you price your art, you're going to have to come up with a very close and accurate number based on the amount of hours it's going to take you and the materials you're going to be using, the cost of the materials, and whatever price you give your client, you're going to have to stick with that, because if you change the price later on because it took you really longer than what you expected, you're not going to look very professional. I mean, it's the same if someone gives you an estimate on painting your living room walls and afterwards they tell you, oh well, now it's going to cost you this much. You wouldn't be very impressed, right? So it's the same as an artist. When we price our work, we have to stick to the price. Most of the time we have a pretty good idea how long it's going to take us, but usually when it's a commission work, for some reason it ends up taking a lot longer, and that's how it is. You still have to stick to the price. Depending on the magnitude of the commission, you might want to have a written contract stipulating everything: the size of the painting, how many paintings, what the subject is going to be, the colors you're going to be using, and both parties can sign this agreement, you and your client. Then there's going to be a lot less room for misunderstandings later. Another important thing as an artist is to get a down payment before you start the work. And there's two good reasons for this. The first one is that if your client gives you a down payment, both parties are committed. The client is committed because they've already put an investment on their commission, and you as an artist will be committed to painting it. You're going to be more motivated because you already have a down payment. Also, the cost of materials. Maybe you're going to have to invest on materials for this specific project. You might have to buy a special size canvas, particular colors of paint that you don't have, And because you're doing it for a client, really, why should you be paying for all of this? So those are the two good reasons why you should get a down payment. Some artists ask for 30% upfront, 30% halfway, and the rest on delivery. I usually ask for 50% upfront and 50% on completion or delivery of the painting. And I explain to my clients why, and I've never had a problem with this. Now, some clients want to wait until the last minute before they see their painting. They want to be surprised at the last minute. But this is not a good idea, because the surprise might be on you if they don't really like it. So it's a good idea to show your clients the art piece when you're about 50% done. Now you're going to have to explain to your client that at 50%, most of the time the painting does not look pretty, but at least they can see if the colors are coming like they want to, the theme, etc. If it's looking along the ways of what they order. Another, okay, so 50%, when you're 50% done, show the painting, and probably a good idea is when you're 80% done too. When you're 50% done, you can make a few changes, and when you're 80% done, the painting is almost done, but you can add a few things that the client might want to see. Now, another thing that is really important, as flattering as it is to have a commission, it's really important to know when to walk away from a commission. If you realize your client is very difficult, they demand this and that and micromanage your work, or they don't want to pay you a deposit, it's probably a good idea to cut it as a loss and say to them, thank you so much, but I don't think I'm the artist for your commission. So it's important to know when to walk away. And last but not least, once the painting is sold and delivered, it's done. It's a done deal. Do not accept the client coming back and saying, oh, it doesn't look good in my house. Can you change the background, or can you add this or that? No. Once the painting is sold and delivered, it's done. And really, you can include that as part of your contract if you have a written contract. And those, my friends, are some of the tips that I have learned through commission work. As flattering as it is to get a commission, sometimes there's little things that happen, and it's good for us as artists to know what to do. So I hope you enjoy your video. I'm going to write down on the description box all the points that I talk about today. I hope you learned something,